Hello, welcome to InfoHub In Depth. The coalition government has been making steady progress towards the fulfillment of its manifesto promises in several sectors. Development is evident in the education, social protection, public security, public health and infrastructure sectors, among others. In this edition of In Depth, Stacey Carmichael takes a look at these achievements over the 3 years.
The Ministry of Social Protection has been spearheading efforts geared at empowering individuals, families and communities. These efforts are designed to reduce poverty, protect children, eliminate violence and to assist vulnerable groups in society. Interventions to address social problems such as drug abuse, suicide, teenage pregnancy, school dropouts, rape and incest form part of the ministry's mandate. Minister of Social Protection Amna Ali during the 2017 budget debates in the National Assembly alluded to the programs formulated through her ministry that improve the lives of citizens.
To create an enabling welfare state, one which helps people to help themselves. Mr. Speaker, let me say that we will continue to work to give the unemployed youth the skills to find a decent job. We will give the single mother the support she needs to go out and work or start a small business. We will provide vulnerable persons such as our children, the elderly, the homeless, and victims of violence and trafficking with the right care and protection needed to better their lives. Mr. Speaker, with the multitudinous achievements of this ministry, I have absolutely no hesitation in saying that the coalition government stands at the center of many of these advances.
A national multimedia child abuse awareness campaign was launched in 2017. This focused on strengthening vulnerable families through capacity building measures to undertake the role of parenting. Despite the many challenges, since coming into office, the coalition government has been working tirelessly through the Department of Labor to transform the lives of workers. Accomplishments include a more than 50% increase in the minimum wage, reduction in value-added tax from 16 to 14%, increase in old age pension by 49%, and the reconstitution of the Public Service Appellate Tribunal. The establishment of the Bertram Collins College, President Granger said, was a vision of the coalition government even before the administration assumed office.
Public servants have to work very hard. They have to be educated enough to be able to advise their ministers. They must provide their ministers with a product of organized thought and research. They must bring their experience to bear on the way the ministry is administered. The ministers may change. Here today, gone in 5 years' time, but the public servant remains. That's why we call permanent secretaries. They're not temporary secretaries. So when a minister arrives in the ministry, he has to get the best advice from his permanent secretary and from the core of public servants he finds there. So they have to be educated if they are to provide correct advice to their ministers. They have to be experienced. Training in this college, therefore, is meant to inculcate those qualities in the public servants. They must be able to comprehend the complexities of the Constitution of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana and the system of public administration at all 3 tiers of government. How central government works, how regional administration works, how municipal and local administration works. The public servant must be familiar with the financial and administrative regulations and rules that are common at all 3 levels. The public servant must also comprehend the diversity of the national landscape
Government's efforts in the labor sector also include housing solutions for low and middle income households and young professionals.
The reduction of economic and social disparities between the coastland and the hinterland and between social groups is necessary to the promotion of greater inclusivity and equality. The coalition government, since assuming office, has been working to achieve just that through the implementation of programs and projects to foster development in indigenous communities.
In August 2015, Indigenous leaders gathered at the Arthur Chung Conference Center and deliberated on a 10-point strategic, holistic plan for hinterland development put forward by President Granger. The President outlined a plan which will see the communities becoming thriving economic units, extreme poverty being eradicated, youth unemployment being addressed, and increased prosperity realized. He reiterated his administration's commitment to building bridges among all communities and groups to enhance the well-being of citizens and fostering inclusionary democracy.
We want to ensure that every child in the hinterland has access to education. ECIS, that's our motto, every child in school. The Hinterland Education Support Program will therefore support the goal of keeping children in school by providing meals, providing uniforms, providing school books, providing transportation, and when they graduate, providing scholarships for them to attend secondary school. Secondly, I wish to explain and to support what Vice President Alicott said. On the 1st of September, we shall launch the Hinterland Employment and Youth Service. This will take the place of the YAEP. As you heard, the YAEP expired in April, and it was always our plan to set up a new scheme, and that scheme will be launched on the 1st of September. The Hinterland Youth Employment and Youth Service will provide sustainable jobs for our young people. We do not wish to promote a culture of handouts. This is demeaning. We will ensure that although jobs are scarce, young school leavers will be provided with the skills to employ them for the world of work. The economy has not provided employment opportunities for them. The former administration's hotspot responses to youth unemployment have been unsuccessful. We are going to ensure that through the Hinterland Youth Employment Program, young people who were employed as CSOs and who wish to join our program will be registered and will continue to receive their stipends. Young people are interested in permanency, not adhocracy. They do not want to be placed on a hinterland dole. They want careers. They want technical and agricultural institutes in every region, not simply on the coastline. This Hinterland Youth Employment Program has been designed to replace the YAP, and we are assured that it will be a success.
The National Two Shores Council was empowered further under this administration with the provision of land for the construction of its headquarters in the Sophia Exhibition Center. The Ministry of Indigenous Peoples Affairs has been supporting the development of Guyana's 215 indigenous communities. These communities are being encouraged to craft village improvement plans to guide their development. They have benefited from a range of community support initiatives, including presidential grants, the distribution of school uniforms, the construction of community centers, and the provision of all-terrain vehicles, boats, and outboard engines. A new extension to the Bina Hill Institute will cater for additional students and better tutors' accommodation. Minister Alicott, while visiting the site, took the opportunity to reaffirm the government's efforts in developing the hinterland through various programs.
We all have the opportunity to make a contribution to national development. But to do that, we must first be united. We must first understand what resources we have. We must first understand that without the proper knowledge of what we have, we would not be able to properly represent our cause. So you are here, and I want to thank the principal and the teachers for taking us at this level. It has been a struggle. It will continue to be a struggle, but I think we are getting better and better by the years. I'm saying this because very shortly, as you see around you, we have 2 dorms that should be completed by mid-year, if not before. So we have the male dorms and the female dorms. A facility that looked so distant a few years ago, but it is a reality now. We now have this to make our students much more comfortable.
The Ministry of Public Health has been working to provide accessible and quality health care to prevent, reduce, and treat the spread of communicable and non-communicable diseases, to promote physical and mental health, and to ensure food safety. Public health improvements under the coalition administration range from the upgrading of physical infrastructure of hospitals and health facilities, the provision of medical equipment, and the deployment of medical personnel across the administrative regions. Public Health Minister Walter Lawrence highlighted the government's vision.
We begin to ensure that persons within our household and our extended family are accessing our health facilities to ensure that things are okay with them. And not only access it when there is an issue. We want that to become the norm for the Guyanese family. We want to ensure that when a person from a household visits the health center, that person is taking along the rest of the family for their general checkup on a yearly basis. And we believe that through this medium, we can help our fellow Guyanese and the visitors to become more health conscious, to take the responsibility to take care of their own health.
Medical outreaches have brought health care directly to the citizens. Mass campaigns to prevent filaria and cervical cancer have also been launched countrywide. The health and well-being of every citizen is a priority of the administration, emphasized Minister within the Public Health Ministry, Dr. Karen Cummings. A national public health program is a result of this prioritization.
As we work towards the establishment of universal access to primary health care in Guyana. In this regard, the Ministry of Public Health continues to ensure that every person living in Guyana has equal access to the best quality of health care, regardless of his or her geographic location or socioeconomic status. Such is the nature of our national public health program that great emphasis is being placed on the practice of preventative medicine. As a consequence, all of our programs have a component that addresses the promotion of health and wellness of all persons living in Guyana, as well as it encourages healthy behavioral changes. It is expected that such focus can result in the prevention of the onset of certain diseases and improve the management of these diseases. It must be emphasized that essential to effective public health is well-structured and viable health promotion. And health awareness and health literacy are manifestations of the implementation of strategic health promotion programs.
A modern laboratory for testing food and food products is being established to ensure food safety. In addition, a telemedicine initiative utilizing ICT to diagnose and treat persons in remote areas will be implemented in 5 regions during this year. The coalition government, since assuming leadership through the Department of Citizenship, has started the process of decentralizing services, making it easier for citizens throughout the length and breadth of Guyana to access services such as birth certificates and passports. Subject Minister Winston Felix said more persons are now able to access passports and other civic documents. Passport offices have been opened across the 10 administrative regions. Upon receiving the policy recommendations and guidelines for the setup of an electronic visa and work visa system, Minister Felix cited the importance of bringing Guyana's immigration system up to date with what obtains in the rest of the world.
To bring meaningful change to Guyanese migration system, it would serve us well that we ensure that persons entering Guyana for work, in particular, are properly screened, are properly vetted, and the policy is set straight for the visitor as well as for the airline. We greatly appreciate the work of the consultant, and I would like to indicate to the consultant that our work is not yet over, because the ambassador has indicated that it's for the Guyana government to implement, and that is what we will be doing. I did not reach out to help to put it on a shelf. I reached out for help because we need to have a modern system. Whether we do everything now or we divide it up into long-term and short-term objectives, that would come with advice. That would come with the peculiar circumstances of availability of cash and resources, and we can determine what our long-term and short-term needs are.
After 22 years under the PPP government without local government elections being held in Guyana, the coalition administration on March 18, 2016 restored local democracy, giving Guyanese the opportunity to vote for their local representatives.
The local government elections were among some of the key highlights in the administration's push for regional and local democratic renewal in 2016. After 19 years after it was due, throughout the country, Minister of Communities Ronald Bulkan has stressed the need for and importance for the local officers to manage their communities autonomously. Housing is another important sector which the government continues to place emphasis. In June 2015, President Granger outlined the coalition's strategic housing policy, which features access to affordable housing in safe communities. Minister Bulkan, speaking more recently after handing over 4 housing schemes for the Central Housing and Planning Authority to the Municipal Council of Bartica Region 7, Kayuni Mazaruni reminded of this commitment.
Our ministry is charged with the delivery of a community experience and not just the provision of a house lot. The strategic amalgamation of what were formerly 2 ministries whose services impacts on the quality of lives, namely the Ministry of Housing and Water and the Ministry of Local Government and Regional Development, those being the former ministries, into what is now a single ministry, is an indication of the government's intent to realize this vision of improving the condition under which our people live. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish to state that it is not just the development of housing areas and discharging the duty I alluded to earlier. The issue of governance, and if I may add, good governance, cannot be divorced from the developmental process. To ensure the sustainability and further development of these areas in accordance with the overarching vision, it is impossible for good governance to be overstated. It is neither constitutionally nor legislatively, nor is it the policy direction that such governance emanates from an office in 4th Street, Kingston, or for that matter, on Brick Dam in Georgetown. This administration resolutely believes in the principle that governance decisions should be made as close as possible to the people who are affected by them. As His Excellency puts it simply, and again I quote, "You live in the house, you know where it leaks, you wear the shoes, you know where it pinches."
Access to safe, affordable and efficient water supply across the 10 administrative regions in Guyana is the goal of the government. Through the Guyana Water Incorporated, this is becoming a reality. Laying of pipelines, installation of pumps and repairs to defective infrastructure have been undertaken by the GWI's team.
The need to invest in infrastructure for job creation, the expansion of industries, and the growth of the private sector is paramount in a growing economy. As such, eliminating the infrastructure deficit, including linking the coastline to the hinterland communities, continues to guide the coalition government's investments in the sector.
Over time, the coalition has been in office. The country's network of aerodromes, including 30 in the hinterland, Bridges, roads, stellings and wharves have been improved. The 4-lane extension of the East Bank Demerara Public Road was completed. Over 100 kilometers of village roads have been constructed or repaired, and 4 pedestrian overpasses installed across the East Bank Demerara Public Road. Urban roads extending over 58.3 kilometers in Georgetown and the capital towns of Linden and New Amsterdam were repaired. Minister of Public Infrastructure David Patterson, during his contribution to the budget debates, highlighted a number of transformational projects.
This government is also fully committed to the continuous development of the energy sector and making our energy as clean and sustainable. There is tremendous focus on solar, hydropower, and other renewable and alternative resources, as well as energy efficiency technologies. This commitment is seen through the Green State Development Strategy. The GEA is a designated agency to lead transitioning efforts towards greater renewable energy use by having every government building converted to using alternative sources of energies within 5 years. And this has since been making steady progress. The Renewable Energy Report of 2017, in keeping with this charge, resulted in an award of contracts for the installation of PV systems on rooftops of 70 government buildings and 400 kilowatts, and the 400 kilowatt PV farm, of course, in Mabaruma, totaling 1.36 megawatts of PV power served for 2017. Among this complement of government buildings, 38 are schools and training centers across Guyana, including and extending from Line Park Secondary School, the University of Guyana Berbice campus, Charity Secondary School, Buxton Secondary School, Sir Potter College of Education, and Kuruku Training Center, to name a few.
The Kitty Roundabout is operational, and the US $138 million expansion of the Chedijagan International Airport closer to completion, with a recent tour conducted by several members of Parliament. The government has embarked on a process of reform and is revamping the national security architecture with the completion of the National Drug Strategy Master Plan, the National Anti-Narcotics Agency established, the country's archaic and dilapidated prisons are being refashioned to ensure safety and compliance with internationally acceptable standards, and the Ministry of Public Security is retooling the Guyana Police Force in order to improve human safety and public security. Minister of Public Security Kemraj Ramjatan highlighted his progress.
As part of the institutional strengthening of the Guyana Police Force, we also have seen the support of 5 civilian policy analysts for the Guyana Police Force. They are presently dealing with policy issues and are currently working in the Police Strategic Management Department. They are playing integral roles in those positions to monitor, to plan for, and to create a vision that will be even more improved, or a greater vision for evidence-based approaches in their work. We also have seen the enhancing of the Guyana Police Force performance capacity, and which will require a human resource management plan and the establishment of a performance assessment framework. This is very important for what I saw initially, and the leadership of the police force saw, but couldn't do anything about. And that was, how do you make assessment performance? What is the framework for it? We are now setting up that framework, and in this regard, we'll be funding a diagnostic of police performance capacity in 2018. This assessment is expected to assist the police force in assessing baseline conditions, identifying weaknesses and strengths, and so many other things that human resource management plans would have.
The Guyana Police Force benefited from several $1 billion worth of equipment donated by the People's Republic of China. The Juvenile Justice Bill was passed in the National Assembly. The new legal aid program piloted on the defense of minor nonviolent offenders who are on pretrial detention and charges of misconduct in public office brought against 2 officials of the previous administration. Additionally, President Granger ordered the establishment of the Commission of Inquiry to bring resolution to the Lindo Creek massacre.
The mantra of President Granger has been that every child must have access to education, must attend school regularly, and strive to attain the highest level of education. In this vein, the coalition government, upon assuming office in 2015, conducted a commission of inquiry to determine the deficiencies and embark upon fixing them.
Government has been making significant strides in the education sector with over 1,000 teachers trained, improved access to schools, improved attendance, reduction in the school dropout rate, and the provision of free transportation and the extension of the hot meals program serving over 23,000 students. President David Granger reminded of the government's will to ensure that quality education is delivered across the country despite challenges in terms of budget and population size.
We do not want a single Guyanese child to drop out, even if that child is visually impaired or physically impaired. We have to ensure that that child can get to a school which can give him or her the education he needs and deserves. As my old mentor, Ms. Olga Bone, used to say, if children don't learn the way they are taught, teach them the way they can learn. And let us find out where our children are. We don't want children staying home because of some physical or visual impediment. So more schools are necessary, but they are not sufficient unless and until those schools provide for the special needs of our Guyanese children. If they are far away, we will help to provide transportation. And I'm glad that the Chief Education Officer referred to the 5 Bs, because the whole idea of those 5 Bs came from the children in riverine areas. Buses, boats, bicycles, and for those who are too poor, we provide breakfast and books as well. So these 5 Bs are now not just a slogan, they're being embedded in the education system. And year by year, we will continue to save millions of dollars. So parents do not have to spend millions of dollars trying to get their children to school, because the government, through the 5 Bs program, will help those children to get to school free. And some children are enjoying that facility as well already.
The overarching priorities for the Education Ministry include reducing the disparities between the schools on the coastline and those in the hinterland, as Minister of Education Nicolette Henry explained.
By making sure all schools are working to the same high standard. The government of Guyana has as a principal objective of its public policy to strengthen the administration of the 10 regions and to improve the delivery of education and other public services. As part of that policy, there will be the establishing of regional technical institutes to provide access to technical education for a greater number of the country's young people. Secondly, improving the quality of our education with continued revised teaching methods and embracing the enhancement of technology in the classroom will also be a priority.
Some 112 secondary schools are now equipped with computer laboratories and enjoy access to the internet. The Ministry of Social Cohesion, created under this government, continues to realize the vision of a nation in which diversities are embraced, differences respected, and conflicts resolved. Over the years, the ministry has crafted a national strategic plan to foster greater social harmony, designated the Chinese Arrival Day, Indian Arrival Day, and Portuguese Arrival Day. There has been the successful hosting of the first Harmony Village, aimed at fostering a unified Guyana, the Ethnic Relations Commission reconstituted, and sensitization outreaches and workshops conducted countrywide. Minister of Social Cohesion with responsibility for culture, youth, and sport, Dr. George Norton.
I do firmly believe that unity does not necessarily lie in uniformity. Unity is all about variety, with variety being the spice of life. Spice, as we would like to refer to it as in spicy food. In spite of our love as Guyanese for spicy food, I'm most certain that none of you here want to eat every day pepper pot, regardless of how hot it might be, or we want to eat curry every day, or fried rice. chow mein, garlic pork. We don't want to eat cook up every day. We as Guyanese crave variety, and our taste buds deserve to be tantalized with different yet tasty foods. It is just the same way we deserve to be exposed to different perspectives and ways of life. It does not necessarily mean that you must accept them all as your own. What it means is that we must understand and respect the beliefs and customs of our fellow brothers and sisters.
In the area of youth development, this administration was able to successfully complete the National Youth Policy, launch a $50 million Youth Innovation Project, empower scores of youth through skills training, and provide night classes for CXC students. In sport, Guyana successfully hosted the Indoor Pan American Cups and the Caribbean Basketball Confederation. A number of athletes were given full scholarships by the National Sports Commission to study and train overseas, and the country successfully hosted the National School Championship for the first time in 2017 at the Lenora Track and Field Center.
This brings us to the end of another program of InfoHub In Depth. Thanks for watching. Do join us again. Goodbye.